Greetings, Helldivers. Eravin here, bringing you everything you need to know about the Into the Gloom update for Helldivers 2. Fresh off the back burner of turning back the new Predator strain of pre 710 on Fenrir 3, our Helldivers have already been tasked with the first ever survey mission into the Gloom, using our new experimental gloom resistant technology, allowing us to enter the fringes of the giant spooky space cloud that's been hovering ominously over our galaxy for months now. This has come in the form of a new major order to venture into the fringe planet of 4E Prime, where we've been tasked with surveying the potential of a new gloom charged E710 fuel source. This new research is speculated by the current MO to potentially lead to a way for us to stop the Illuminates' autocratic intentions of squiddling Super Earth with the Beehole. Over the course of the next month or so, this will be developing the story into a race against time, as the Illuminates are currently on track to impact Moridesh with the black hole, killing another half a billion of our colonists in the next 20 to 30 days' time. If our Helldivers can't venture into the gloom and find a way to stop the Illuminates before then, the planet and its less than super equal residents that tragically didn't make it to the evacuation in time will be doomed to the same fate as Angel's venture. But what new surprises await us within the gloom on Fori Prime? Me and Commissar Kai dropped in early this morning to survey the situation, accompanied by two of his bravest commandos. Within the gloom, you'll be combating four new variants of pre existing Terminids: the Spore Warrior, Alpha Spore Warriors, Spore Hunters, and Spore Scavengers. Now, unlike the Predator strain of bugs, the Spore Burst bugs don't have a lot of unique factors and are almost one to one copies of the originals, albeit far uglier. The key difference with these new bugs is on death, they deploy a cloud of spores that, at least for now, don't seem to do much of anything besides a light shove and making the visibility even worse than a standard Terminid mission already was, if you can believe that's possible. It gets so bad you can barely see a thing if your map happens to also have the spore clouds modifier on top, which, while I'm on the topic, is strangely avoidable and not always part of your operation. Just by looking at the gloom, you would have assumed atmospheric spores would have been active on every operation in the gloom, but yeah, at least for now, nope. You can and should avoid operations with atmospheric spores when possible during this operation to avoid doubling down on the poor visibility already caused by the new bugs. Maybe when we get deeper into the gloom later on, this will change, but for now, yeah, just avoid atmospheric spores. Back on the topic of the bugs, a mandatory shutdown did come in during our testing session that has temporarily deactivated the new Gloom bugs, pending a hotfix with no current ETA other than as soon as possible. This was because these new bugs were causing some pretty consistent crashes, unfortunately, but should be re enabled soon. Because of this cutting our testing short, though, I was unable to confirm within a shadow of a doubt whether these new Terminids can lose limbs or not. Based on what I saw, it seems the heads have separate health pools, but the limbs are all connected to the main health pool of the Terminids. When that main health pool is emptied by incoming damage, that is what causes the Spore Bursters to, well, burst. This can actually be avoided, funny enough, though, on the warriors at least. When they lose their heads, they enter a terminal bleed out, and dying from that bleed out damage instead of your attacks will not trigger a spore burst. The spores might just be an eyesore for now, but if those clouds get buffed to do some other undemocratic nonsense in the future, you'll be glad you knew this information. So yeah, the Gloombug subfaction might not be fully cooking yet, but we are just on the fringe of the Gloom, so we'll see what the future has in store for us. More excitingly, though, in my opinion, we've had city maps added in mass to the new major order, and with it, 5 new-ish missions. I say new-ish because they all recycle pre-existing objectives, but they do combine them in new interesting ways, which does freshen up the experience a bit. Collect Gloom infused oil is a mission containing a generator, two small pumping stations, and the final large pumping station used to extract the fuel into a pelican. Collect meteorological data is the same black box transportation objective we received with the release of the Illuminates, also known as retrieving General Brash's search history. Extract research probe data turns research data pod recovery into a main objective that you have to do 4 times in total. Collect Gloom Spore readings requires you to activate 2 small radar stations, a generator, and finally, a large radar station. And lastly, chart Terminid tunnels involves 2 small geological survey objectives and a large radar station. Along with all of these new ish main objectives, we have some new ish side objectives, and by side objectives, I mean main objectives that have been ported into potential side objectives. During my time playing this patch, I've so far seen Egg Destruction, the main geological survey drill, Defend Democracy flag raising, and ICBM, all as side objectives on the new Terminid city maps. While all of these additions are not original in concept, as I said, they at least do provide a bit more variety in objectives in exchange for what was likely less dev time than completely new ones would require. So I personally see no harm in their addition as they do make things a bit less stale than they'd otherwise have been. Fighting the Terminids within the city has also definitely given a new feel to fighting the faction, providing us with ample choke points and vantage points to take advantage of. Weapons that were already popular against the Terminids involving fire and gas have basically seen an increase in their stocks, with all the narrow streets and corridors that you can funnel the Terminids down. It's also worth mentioning here that although the Spore Burst bugs are a bit undercooked, the Terminid swarms within the Gloom look like they've been reproducing faster than a pack of Christian rabbits. There are tons of bugs within these new missions, even more so than there normally was. Whether this is specifically a unique factor of the sub faction, meaning they are supposed to carry a strength in numbers sort of vibe, or just because of the Gloom itself, I don't yet know specifically. But what I can say for sure is there are more Alpha Commanders stomping around difficulty 10 than I've ever seen before today. And hundreds of creepy crawlies coming out of the stonework to combat us planetside right behind them. The good news is, though, we're fighting them on city maps, and these maps contain more ammunition per square mile than Texas, and a free MG-43 stationed on every other street corner, just like the Founding Fathers intended. So you'll have plenty of ammo laying around to deal with this increased enemy population, and a good excuse to run some more ammo-heavy weaponry than you normally do, considering you'll have no trouble staying topped up while fighting within the city streets, no supply packs necessary. As far as your armor, due to the spore clouds not bursting for any damage, it's dealer's choice, really. Whatever armor you normally prefer for standard Terminid operations is gonna work exactly the same here. Although, as always, I do advise going on the lighter side, as no amount of armor in the world can keep you alive, as well as the power of advancing courageously in the opposite direction of the enemy, our most tried and true method of defeating the bug abominations. Also, want to quickly talk about how there are a lot of bug holes to close as well on these city maps. What feels like more than usual, and even though it's a city map, this does include mega nests on difficulty 10. So make sure to bring an ample supply of bug hole closers in your loadouts. Pack those grenade pistols, gas grenades, and 500 kgs for those Bile Titan holes to the rooftops, fellas. And that will just about do it for everything I feel you need to know to succeed against the Gloom bugs and do your part to prevent another Angel's Venture catastrophe. Remember, this is a race against time, gentlemen. So lock in, focus the MO, and save our citizens from any further spaghettification. Thank you to my coffee supporters who help keep the channel going, and thank you for watching till the end. I'll see you next time.
We got double.
How far are those guys? 100 meters?
Or so, yeah.
Kobe.